Welcome to the Build and Release AI series. I've realized that the best way for me to showcase the opportunity that is out there when it comes to selling AI-enabled solutions, AI-enabled services, is essentially breaking down our own internal AI mechanisms that we're putting together and creating essentially an AI growth infrastructure, which we're building and releasing into companies with our partners. And today, one of the first systems that I'm going to be laying out is actually based on one of my first ever kind of like offer that allowed me to scale past making not just $1 million a year, but making $1 million a quarter, right, in cash collected. It's going to be based off of this first business, because the same business that required me to be so operationally like scaled can now be delivered with like a team of 2 people, right? I was making, let's say, 300 grand to 500 grand, working with 30 to 40 businesses every single month. They were paying me a lot of money, of course, $10,000, $15,000 each. It had so much operational complexity to run that business that I eventually stopped doing it, even if it was bringing me over multiple 6 figures in profit every single month. But the reason why I wanted to pick this first AI mechanism that I'm going to be showcasing afterwards is because that same business model can be ran and you can scale it past 6 figures a month in profit with a team of maybe 2 to 3 employees, which is legendary to me, right? Once you guys see what's happening when it comes to this world, or how this technology shift that is AI, how much impact is going to have on our service business model. So this is for you if you're a service provider that's like an agency owner, coach, consultant, even infopreneurs. Infopreneurs who don't figure out a way to run the same info-based business but with AI instead, you are cooked, and you will most likely go out of business because you're not actually currently providing great value to your clients. Okay, before we do a deep dive into the AI system and its workflow, it is important to understand the following lesson. The only time you make money, especially when selling to businesses, is when you help them bridge the gap. You're helping them go from their current situation to their desired situation, right? Now, how do you do that? The only way you're able to essentially bridge the gap is when you remove friction from existing process. Now, there are 5 main areas or 5 main variables that you can essentially increase efficiency. There is the offer. So if a business want to go from $1 million to 10 million, or from 10 million to 100 million, they're going to need to eventually create new products, expand the market, and go into different markets. So you have to figure out a way. You have to be better at picking better markets, picking better pricing models, picking a better business model for them to essentially scale. If you do not increase efficiency at this layer, they're not going to scale. The second variable that you need to look at is lead flow. Can you help them get more traffic and convert more of that traffic into leads? So can you increase efficiency by removing friction in that process? The third layer is appointments. A lot of the businesses that we work with or that we try to serve rely on an appointment booking funnel, right? So their sales process is heavily reliant on sales calls, right? The fourth variable is deal flow. Can you help them convert most of those appointments into deals? Can you help them collect a lot more money on each call that they take and have a higher closing rate, all that good stuff? And then the fifth one is, can you make their fulfillment more efficient and remove the friction in fulfillment? Any business that wants to scale, go from making 100 grand to $1 million, from $1 million to 10 million, every single variable here will need to be made more efficient. And how do you make a business efficient? Is by essentially removing friction. Your ability to simplify and remove friction from an existing process directly determines how much money flows toward you. If you want to generate extraordinary wealth, identify friction within a market and remove it, and money will inevitably flow your way. Now, what are examples of people or companies that have been able to remove friction? I'll give you guys an example. Hormozi with his $100 million offer book. What he did is essentially removed a lot of friction. Reading a book is not necessarily frictionless. It takes a lot of time and you have to literally be disciplined to go through it. But he at least laid out a lot of frameworks to essentially allow a lot of people who are running service businesses and not have friction when it comes to, how they sell and, the market that they're going after, right? But our way of doing this, of removing friction, instead of writing a book, what I did is I put our frameworks around selecting markets, niches, finding gaps, finding AI mechanisms to essentially build and release into companies and the go-to-market. I put it in a custom GPT. So now, instead of having to read a book, you can now just conversate with this AI assistant. It will do research for you, build your offer for you. And that's a way of removing friction. If Hormozi turned this book into an AI assistant, he would make infinitely more money because it's much more frictionless, right? But look at this other company, Meta. Meta essentially looked at the world of advertising, and instead of, let's say, essentially putting your ads in a newspaper or having to mail or having to build an appointment setting team that goes door to door selling your services, all you have to do is just know how to click a few buttons on the ads manager, and you can start advertising and targeting the people that you want. And you know, the outcome of removing friction to that degree, they're now worth over $1.5 trillion, and they bring in over almost $50 billion every 90 days, and 98% of their income comes from advertising. To the degree that you're great at removing friction in a specific process will also equal to the amount of money that flows toward you, right? My first business was removing friction when it comes to appointment setting. One of the biggest hurdle for our clients was I'm struggling to book appointments, and what I did is I built an entire appointment setting business. It started out first with an appointment setting agency where we would do done for you agency work. I would get clients, and then I would get VAs from the Philippines. Then they would work under us, right? As you can see here, we have over 5,000, almost 6,000 applicants in our database of VAs that we would essentially source and place. At first it was done for you, but then we ended up moving into building and releasing them into our clients' companies, okay? That simple shift took my done for you appointment setting agency from 30K a month around to I was doing $1 million every 90 days the following summer, right? So from June 2021 to June 2022, I was already clearing $1 million every 90 days, which was great. But the problem is this business model was, you needed to be really operationally, like really good at operations. Without being good at operations and building teams, being great at managing people and building systems, it would have been impossible to scale this business, right? But I was still able to scale it past like 500K, 600K a month. But again, my job was removing friction for appointment setting. Instead of people having to go hire their own VAs and having to train them and having to have their accounts get shut down, I was taking on that friction for them, removing it, and then being like, hey, all you have to do is give me $10,000, $15,000, and then the thing you want gets done like that, okay? So you have to understand that there's so much opportunity right now to go and look at all these variables and solve them with AI. Every single layer. The only layer that has been really dialed in is advertising. I wouldn't necessarily try to go build a better advertising platform. Hell no, right? Which is why in this AI system that I'm about to walk you guys through, it solves the main thing that is everyone is struggling with, which is appointment setting. But it solves it in a special way. Let's get into it. We decided to focus on building an AI appointment setting agent because we realized that appointment setting is one of those functions in a business where the bigger you get, the more waste is created. And you will never ever experience a great efficiency because you're relying on leveraging humans to fulfill on this function, right? Humans still need a break. They need to take some time off on the weekend, but you're still generating leads, right? And if you wait a day or two before you reach out to leads that entered your ecosystem, your funnel, you're not necessarily going to have as high of a booking rate or response rate as you would if you're reaching out as soon as they opt in, right? So speed to lead is one of the greatest thing that you can focus on when appointment setting, and this technology that I'm about to walk you through, or the system, does it like this. As soon as someone opts in, a message is sent, right? And the other thing that we've built, that we focus on with this AI system is we're not doing it on SMS, we're doing it on WhatsApp. A lot of people are building AI appointment setting assistants or bots or agents on SMS, but we don't like that. Instead, we're focusing on WhatsApp. Now, a lot of you guys may be like, why WhatsApp? You have to understand that WhatsApp is the third app with the most monthly active users, right after YouTube and Facebook. So almost everyone on the planet who has internet is on this platform, right? The next thing is, it is actually less competitive and less salesy. So the response rate and the open rate is through the roof. I literally had this message a few days ago from this person who is a recruiter, right? Even recruitment agencies are starting to use WhatsApp to book appointments instead of using traditional platforms like LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or even emails, because it does not require you to have a friend request for someone to see your message. and you don't ever end up in message requests. If you guys do appointment setting on Instagram, you end up being in message request. If you're doing cold outreach on Facebook, you end up in the message request. If you're doing LinkedIn outreach, you end up in the connection request, right? So all these are barriers to your appointment setting process. So for us, having a platform where you don't have to have a friend request for someone to see your message is unbelievable, right? And then the next thing is, if you guys do a lot of SMS outreach, whether that be on, leveraging GHL, you guys know the A2P verification, which is a nightmare to deal with. You can reach out to anyone as soon as you send them a message. Why would you not leverage it to build your AI setting system, right? And the other thing is, this is a system that our clients has validated selling it to a third world country. And one of the reasons why we ended up focusing on this AI WhatsApp setting agent is because we had one partner in a third world country selling, I believe he's from Trinidad and Tobago. He ended up spending $2,000 on ads and ended up collecting over $21,000 in a third world country because the market was willing to spend $5,000 on this AI WhatsApp setting agent, and it was just one system. Do you know how much value something has to be for people in third world countries in the islands to spend $5,000 on a system? It is amazing. It's unbelievable, because if you guys have ever tried selling even in first world countries, Facebook ad to, let's say, like real estate agents, you will have to beg them before they give you even $5,000, right? They might not even give you $1,000, right? So that's one of the reasons why we ended up doubling down on this, because the market wanted it. Now let's get into how the actual system works, and I'm going to be able to show you guys the actual conversation of the system. But before I do that and go over the whole workflow, it is important for me to give you guys context on how we built the system, right? And what was the thought process. The number one thing that we did that's different from what everybody does is putting all the functions or all the goals, objectives of the assistants or the agents into one single flow. We did not do that. We segmented it into 5 different functions. We want an AI assistant, AI agent that qualifies leads. And once a lead is qualified or disqualified, it sends it to the next agent that is supposed to either book the lead into an appointment, or if they're not qualified, we want it to be sent to an agent that will focus on downselling the lead into a lower ticket product, a community. And then if the appointment setting agent ends up booking the lead into an appointment, we want it to be sent into another workflow with another agent that is supposed to make the lead show up or remember to show up for their appointment. And if the appointment in the system, in the whole flow, it ends up showing that the lead never showed up for their appointment, then that will trigger the no-show AI assistant or AI agent, however you want to call it. So that is super important. What this creates is it allows us to create assistants that are super dialed in when it comes to one thing. When you try to ask an AI assistant, I'm sure if you guys have used a lot of these language models and you try to ask it a bunch of different things, it ends up being pretty shit at any of them. So this essentially allows us to increase the in software, they like to, or at least with this language model, they essentially want to, like, how often and how consistent is it at telling the truth and doing the right thing? If the percentage is as close to 100%, then the system is really great. But a lot of these language models on their own, they're pretty shit, right, at doing a lot of things. So we increase the success rate by splitting it into multiple functions. So here's what the appointment setting process looks like and the conversation flow when leveraging this AI setting system on WhatsApp. Okay, so as soon as a lead opts in for whatever lead magnet you're pushing, it will send a message to the lead WhatsApp. Hey Serge, thank you for opting in for our build and release AI asset. Is it cool for me to ask a quick question just to make sure it's the right thing for your situation? You do not want a system that will just try to book people into a call before they are qualified or before you figure out inefficiencies about the prospect. So this system is engineered for just that. It has to qualify the person. So the number one thing that it does is it asks a qualifying question, and it will look something like this. Are you actively running a business or wanting to launch one? And there will be 3 options. Is someone actively running a business? Are they wanting to start a business? Or are they just starting out and don't necessarily know what they want? Depending on which category they're in, the the first AI system will essentially send them to the right AI agent to continue the next conversation with. In this case, if you're just starting out or don't necessarily know what you want or just planning to start, it will downsell and get you into a conversation where you're being downsold to a product or a community, right? But if you're qualified and you're actively running a business, it will then go into asking 5 or 4 main questions, which is, what are you currently selling? Who is your ideal client? What is your main lead gen appointment setting process? How are you going about fulfillment? And each time that the lead answers this question, it will actually put the insight into the lead form on go high level in the CRM. So as the conversation is going, instead of waiting for someone to book a call and have to answer the question on a booking calendar, this AI, kind of like this layer of this assistant or the system, will actually pre-fill information and data from the conversation. So by the time the conversation is done, you have information on every single lead that entered your funnel. Isn't that amazing? It is pretty fucking sick, right? So check this out. So then once it has uncovered what are the main insights or knowledge about the prospect's current situation, like what are they selling, who are they selling to, what is their main process around growing their businesses, how do they go about fulfilling, what is their fulfillment model, then it will go into uncovering what is their number one inefficiency in their business. Hey, if you could solve one problem, what could that be? And whatever pain the prospect says is their main issue, it will also put that where in the card of the prospect for your sales team. Okay, and then if we have some free trainings for the specific issue that they're dealing with. So we do not want to take the pain and be like, oh, you should book a call. Never, because we've realized that when we're booking calls with people who are just there to learn how we solve a problem, it's just a waste of time for our sales team, right? So what we do is we offer value. We lead with value. We lead with education. So if the prospect says yes to the free training, it will send them the training that is aligned with what? With whatever is the pain that the prospect is dealing with. Now, how have we been able to build this? You essentially need to build a database with content that goes over the process on how you solve each pain, each main kind of like issue that your market is dealing with. So for us, a lot of the time, it's things like lead generation, appointment setting, offer creation, service delivery, or the business model is not necessarily as exciting. So we've built a bunch of flows that essentially goes and picks the pain that the prospect is dealing with, and then will, depending on whatever issues, obstacle they're dealing with, it has a specific process or automation that will send the right training for the right obstacle that they're dealing with. Okay, and then it will say something like, hey, here's our process, let me know what you think, and then wait for a reply. If the person replies, then we'll go into offering a walkthrough session to book a call with a growth consultant. And if the person doesn't reply, it will follow up and be like, hey, did you get to check out the training? And then it will wait for a reply again, go back to trying to book them on a call. And if the person wants to book a call, it will then go ahead and qualify them investment wise. It will ask them, hey, are you in a position where you can invest at least a certain amount of money? Could be $2,000, could be $5,000, it could be, are you at least able to make sense of spending, let's say $10,000? Okay, if they not necessarily are willing to do that, then it will put them into a downsell AI that will then sell them to a lower ticket product, right? If the person is able to invest, then it will push them to the actually booking a call, right? The appointment setting booking agent. And then if they're not wanting to book a call, then you can also downsell them to a product where they can, just consume the content and do it on their own. Okay. And I'll show you guys what this whole thing looks like in action. Okay. So here I end up kind of like telling it, hey, are you actively running a business? Yes, I'm running a business. Great. Glad to hear you're in the game. What is the main service or product your business offers to clients? Currently mainly building and releasing a YouTube content system. And then it will analyze that. It will be like, hey, interesting focus. Who's the target audience for your YouTube content system? What's the type of creators or businesses are you aiming to help? And then I'll kind of like clarify on who I'm going after, what niche I'm targeting, focusing on info. And then it continues here. So once I enter infopreneurs, it will say something like, hey, how are you currently finding and connecting with these infopreneurs? I'm curious about your lead gen approach. And then I say, hey, I'm only relying on cold outreach. And then it says, hey, cold outreach can be tough. What's your process for turning those cold leads into booked calls? Do you have any specific tools or strategies? I'll be like, hey, not really focusing on volume and sending a value video before I pitch a call. And it will be like, hey, interesting approach. When it comes to delivering your YouTube content system to infopreneurs, do you prefer a hands-on or a hands-off approach with clients? And then I answered, hey, it's a mix of done for you, done with you, do it yourself, kind of like our build and release model. And then it will say, hey, got it. With your mix of service models, if you could solve one thing to help you 10x your current business revenue, what would it be? What's holding you back the most right now? And by the way, every single message that it's sending is not the same every time you ask it a question. Let's say even if I was to start a conversation with this AI setting with the same offer, the actual message that it's sending me are not the same. Because WhatsApp does trigger when you automate message and you're just blasting people, it will for sure block your account if it's the same messages that you're sending every time. So this, overrides that, right? And then when it asks me what is my main issue, I'll be like, hey, I'd say a more predictable client acquisition system to generate calls. And then it will say, hey, that's a common challenge. To be open, would you be open to checking out some free training or on creating a more predictable client acquisition system? It could help streamline your process. The idea is it's supposed to send me a video that warms me up on the process that the business would normally implement into my business, right? So it's giving me the process before it tries to pitch me a call. And then, hey, here's our process that helps with lead generation. Let me know what you think. In this case, it's going to send me a different video, not necessarily specific to this. But then I ended up asking it, hey, do you help implement this system or is it a course, right? And then before I even opened the video, I asked it a question. And then the answer was, hey, we actually do both implementation and training. Want to hop on a quick call with one of our growth consultants to see how we could tailor this for your business. And then, is there another asset you can share with me before you actually pitch me a call? So you can ask it other assets if you have other issues with your business. And then, sure, I can share another resource, but before it sends another resource, it's actually qualifying, making sure that the investment is the prospect is able to invest. So, hey, if you're so clear path to scaling your business, would you be able to invest around 2.5K to make it happen? And then I said, yep. And then in this case, it would send me another case study video. In this case, we're just testing it, so it didn't necessarily have a video. And then I ended up kind of like showcasing, hey, I'm free next week. Sure, sounds good. Before we lock in a time, where are you located? This is super important because it qualifies the time zone of the prospect, because it's going to automatically book the appointment into the calendar because it already has your email, it already has your phone number of the lead at least. So the prospect doesn't even have to go on a calendar and book a call, okay? And they don't even need to fill out a form because the form is filled out from the conversation, okay? I'm in Montreal, and then it will kind of like pick my email. Montreal is my email, the best one, still the best email to send over the call details. Yep. And then it will offer me a few suggestions on time zones. If that doesn't work, we could also do Tuesday, March 18th, 2:30 p.m. Does any of those times suit you? And then it will kind of like go Tuesday. All right, perfect. Now, what time works for you? And then it will, last question, I ended up asking it, hey, are you AI? And then at the end, if I go on my email, it actually had sent me a meeting link. So it ended up sending me a booking link with a confirmation with the Google Meet link. And this is how the entire thing works, okay? In my opinion, this is going to revolutionize the entire world of appointment setting, because even if this thing is not as good as a human, you could now be able to handle thousands of conversation every single day and only have maybe one growth specialist, one setter, who's mainly focusing on converting and taking care of the last 10% of the conversation, where you're actually trying to solve specific issues in a conversation before you book a prospect in. But qualifying, triaging, all these things that like you would need to build a really huge team, appointment setting team, to able to fulfill on those. These agents and systems are going to revolutionize the way appointment setting is done in businesses, because there is no way companies are going to go back to the old way of doing things, where they're building appointment setting teams, giving the teams 5 to 10% of the value of the deal that they set, when all they could do is install AI setting agents and systems to have them work over time without needing a break, without needing a raise, without wanting a bonus. They'll just keep cooking, right? And they're going to be able to solve their main problems, which is speed to lead. I don't want leads in my notification channel who have not been reached out to in less than 5 minutes. AI is going to do it right there and then. The other thing is the AI systems will force consumption and will educate leads, and it's not going to cost you much or extend the sales cycle because it is having a conversation. With technology, it's automated. It doesn't cost you anything to have more conversation or to send a bunch of videos to a bunch of prospects, right? Now, no more dealing with leads that are not educated, that are cold. If you are a closer, you know how painful it is to end up having a sales call with someone who doesn't know anything about your business because the setters were incentivized to just book sales calls, right? Now, even closers are going to be wanting to pay for these AI to be installed on their offers because they don't want to speak to anyone who's not educated, right? And nowadays, in my opinion, I have this prediction that if you want to make $100,000 to $250,000 a month, all you will need is maybe a few AI systems agents per platform that you do outreach on, and one leveraged setter who oversees these agents, and any prospect that needs more care, more attention, they just jump into that conversation and then they take over. So now you can have hundreds, if not thousands of appointments, conversations being handled by AI, and have one setter in your business who's taking care of everything that's falling through the cracks. Isn't that amazing? Right? That's the opportunity for business owners. Now, for you, if you're wanting to build and release AI systems, all you have to do, acquire these systems, learn to build them, and go sell them to businesses. And the thing is, if you can save someone from spending 25 grand a month, 30 grand on their set, drop that by let's say 9/10 of it, have a setter that they pay 2-3 grand a month, and have all the work being done by a setter, why would they not give you 10 grand? Why would they not give you $5,000? Why would they not give you 25 grand depending on the scale of their business, right? Compare this to my old business model, which was placing VAs, one to two trained VAs. Every time I would build an appointment setting team, I would need a training specialist who's going to train all the VAs. I would need a manager to oversee this operation. I would need a sourcing specialist to build the entire database of VAs that I showed you guys earlier. And I would need a systems integrator to make sure that all the systems work. And I would only charge 10 or 15 grand, but I still have a lot of operational expenses. Nowadays, with this, all you need to do is have a systems integrator and have the skill of designing appointment setting workflows into companies. These businesses will not go into building it on their own or internally. And a lot of these, this insight and technology of putting together a bunch of different agents and different functions, there aren't a lot of people who are doing this. So there's a lot of demand, short supply on the skill set. Now that you see that it's possible to automate the entire appointment setting process in a business leveraging AI WhatsApp setting agents like this one that we've created internally, what should you do with this insight? You have two options, or at least there's two paths for most people watching this. The first path is you should probably look into implementing this system into your business. That's path number one. If you do not implement it and you just keep spending money and building appointment setting teams and building hiring managers to manage the team, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's like refusing to level up and to evolve. And even in evolutionary psychology, they talk about the fact that it's not about the smartest person or the person with the most strength that survives. It's the most adaptable. And if you don't adapt to this new technology, this new way of doing things like magic, then you're most likely not going to make it, right? But then there's the second side of things. If your goal is to essentially make money from building and releasing these AI systems into companies, that is in my opinion, this is the best path for anyone who wants to make 10, 20, 50 grand, 100 grand a month building and releasing AI, because there's so much opportunity to implement these AI workflows into companies because there's just ridiculous amounts of demand, okay? You have two options. If you want to launch, validate, and scale offer, I recommend you guys sign up for the masterclass. I'm going to be doing it, and it's going to be live. I'm going to be walking you guys through how we actually are building these AI offers, how we're going around client acquisition. And I'm going to be laying out more of the other AI systems, the AI content agent, other AI agents, dialer agents that we've built, self-selling AI systems that we've built. Okay, I'm going to be walking you guys through the framework, not necessarily like how to build them, right? Because that's too long, and my team takes care of that. I don't necessarily take care of it, right? So check out the masterclass below. If you want to license our solutions, you can also join the masterclass. I'm going to be kind of like walking you guys through how we actually go about letting our partners license these solutions. And if you want more daily insights or help in launching and scaling, just DM me the word AI on my Instagram, and I'm gonna be answering you as fast as I can. But highly recommend joining the masterclass so you guys can actually get the entire breakdown and the offer on how we can help you guys launch, validate, and scale an AI offer. Okay, but yeah, this is probably the greatest opportunity that we've ever seen. Like, I've never been this excited. We literally are onboarding like 15 clients and building 15 new offers a week, which is ridiculous, right? So don't miss out, because eventually, once everyone has caught on to this opportunity, it will be too late, like any other opportunity in business. Okay, love y'all. Bye-bye.